I understood straight away. I wasn't treating myself, it was poisoning myself. I can't feel this amazing, this good, this sharp. I was never cocky or anything like that, but just the confidence. I can do these things that I thought I wasn't able to do for a long time. So I treat this as life or death, really, to be honest. We were ostracized, we were casted, I was called Hitler. All these things by people. The man is not even here right now, God rest him, you know. It's satanic, because now knowing what we know, that that they don't get no goodness, they're not getting the goodness in their food, so it's very evil. And the fact that somebody couldn't have an open dialogue and would want to kill you first because of your opinion is really evil.
Today we get to talk to all sorts of people all over the world, carnivores from all walks of life. Today we have Robert Hanna, and we're going to get into his story, how he became his carnivore journey, and we'll get into it right after this.
I was tired of the guessing games, faking health, playing diet names, low fat life, vegan soul, but deep inside I didn't feel whole. Then came fire, then came fat, steak on the plate, I bounced right back. No more crashing, no more drag, just eggs and butter in my bag. Meat made me whole, yeah, you know it's true, brought me back to what I always knew. Meat made me whole, now I feel alive, give me that steak and watch me thrive. Refill the brain, reset the gut, say goodbye to the low fat blood. Meat made me whole, feel it in my soul.
Well, normally we are live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in the UK and Ireland, 7 p.m. in the Netherlands and Holland. We get to sit down with people. We have Robert Hanna joining us today. We're excited to hear. I'm excited to hear what your story is and your journey, your past. And Robert, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Tony. Thanks, Mark. How are things?
No, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah. So let's just start. How did this begin for you?
So I suppose my wife, I kind of got involved in the carnivore kind of diet before me. I suppose we have two girls. They're both due to be 5 in the end of December. Twin girls, Haley and Harper, and we were blessed with those over during COVID. And after she had the girls, she found it a little hard to kind of lose the baby fat after that. And she was always petite. She was always kind of small size, and trying different things with her food and maybe exercise. And she was a part of a kind of a local gym here as well. And nothing was happening, even though she was talking to one of the gym instructors. You know, she was explaining, you know, why it's not shifting, and they were trying to figure it out. And she came across. She prayed on it, I suppose. We're very fortunate to have God in our lives, and she prayed on it, and she kind of asked God for a bit of advice and said, look, could you send me on the information that would get me to a healthy stage and help me lose the weight and bring me to a better place in my body and mind, you know? And the information wasn't long coming through her son's girlfriend, who has an uncle out in Singapore, and he's a carnivore coach, and he is in his maybe early 60s, and he looks in his late 40s. And Mira started to read into it, look into it. She was talking to me about it, but she wasn't very quick to jump in. She's very thorough. She'd be the opposite of me, to be honest. She's very thorough, and she decided to kind of really kind of do the research on it. And she said, you know, this is right, this feels right, about 3 or 4 months in. And she said she was going to give it a go. So she started, and about 12 days, maybe just a little, maybe 2 weeks in, she'd lost 4.5% body fat. Her hair had got noticeably better, stronger, more nourished looking. Her skin was way better, and she already had very, very good skin. She looked after her skin for years due to an insecurity with freckles. And I couldn't believe it. I knew looking at her and the way talking in the first few days of doing it. And I'm a chef by trade, so I cooked the food. So we made an agreement when we got married, you know, and we came across each other that I'll cook and you clean. Is that okay? And she said, yeah, no bother. So that was our agreement. And yeah, so I was making the food, and I was listening to all these people that she was listening to on YouTube, and And I was really kind of getting this understanding as we were going along, but I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified because, unlike Mare, I think when Mare, before she met me, she didn't have that same kind of bad foods in her diet like I would have had. So I brought those to her, you know. So I brought the at night time picking out and binging out on some stuff that I shouldn't have been eating, thinking that I was treating myself and I was entitled to have a bit of a break. You know, popcorn and taters and coke and all that kind of stuff, and I was eating loads of deep fried foods, and so she didn't have all that until I came into her life. And so basically, when I was kind of doing the foods for her, I was kind of panicked. I was really kind of worried. I was saying, like, this is really working. This really looks amazing. She was getting, the energy was through the roof, and I was getting more and more nervous. So she said, as she was going on that journey, and as I was keeping the ear out and I was listening to all these people on YouTube, from John DeFerrigno to Anthony Chaffee, Dr. Anthony Chaffee, Dr. Ken, Sean Baker, more people like that. There was a steak butter girl. There was a lot more, and I was listening to all these people, and I was taking it in. It was slowly going in, but I was terrified because I had a sugar addiction. I had a carb addiction, and I had a sugar addiction, and I knew that was my diet, and I knew. I was like, I can't, I'm not ready for that, you know. So a bit of a twist came when she noticed her hair and her skin got so much better. She said, my hair and a high intake of fat in the diet can do this to my hair and my skin. I wonder what it would do topically as a cream. So we looked into it, and we went down the rabbit hole of beef tallow for skincare, and it was amazing. Being a chef by trade, I a lot of scientific principles and knowledge and how to put things together and do different kind of ingredients and put them together. So we were making products for a number of months, and we got them to a level where she was really happy with them. And we started giving them out to a lot of people. But it brought us down that road for about 8 or 9 months. It brought me down that road. So we have a company called Divine Skincare, and it does all organic skincare. But I was so terrified. I said I'd concentrate on the skincare because I didn't want to look at the diet because I was petrified. I was like, I can't do that, you know. But I was really taking in all the information. I was getting a very good understanding, and I was asking for help and guidance. And I was saying, God, help me to do this. I know it's right. Before I started the carnivore journey, the Lent before, I kind of prayed to God that He'd help me go through Lent 40 days with no sweets, no sugar, no coke, no peanuts, no potatoes, nothing like that. So I was in Mass in Cork, and myself, my wife, my family were there, and I prayed, and I started my Lent. And 40 days later, I had made it through Lent with help. And on the day of Easter Sunday above in Cork, Mayor was listening to the priest, and I was praying to God, and I was like, God, I don't want to go back having coke or sweets or potato or chocolate anymore. I said, I have people in my life that I can look at. My dad is ill health that way. I've all this ahead of me, and I don't want it. Can you please keep me away? In my heart, you know, I want to be away from it, but I need help, you know. And because I was just so addicted to that type of food, and we came out after Mass, and Mira said, come on, we get a coffee. And she said, oh, 40 days done, I can have a bar of chocolate, she said. So I said, okay, where do I stand here? I looked up, and I got no craving for chocolate. I think he was prepping me for the carnivore journey. The next phase was carnivore. So I started the carnivore, and wow, I couldn't get over it. Absolutely blew my mind. I love meat. I love eggs. I love butter. I could chew a block of butter walking down the road. Absolutely amazing. But once I got into it, a friend of mine used to always say to me, whether it's good things or bad things in my life, an abstainer or a moderator, I couldn't moderate, so I had to abstain. So I couldn't, ease myself into this. I had to go in. And when I went in, I think 2 weeks in, all the inflammation in my body, I felt I was in the kitchen. I was bending up and down. I had flexibility that I didn't think I'd have. I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. But and only a couple of weeks before that, with the weight, I had sleep apnea. I was waking at 2 a.m, choking, not able to breathe. And I was dancing, like not dancing, but jumping, trying to get my breath in the side of the bed, and the front, I was going to die. So the carnivore diet, number one, brought the inflammation down in a couple of weeks. I felt great. I was able to get down on the ground and play with the girls. They're a bit younger. And I thought, this is amazing. I didn't have to roll over to get back up. And I took it from there. I went from strength to not only the weight, but I had 4 chins. I had 4 chins, and I remember kind of saying, okay, don't concentrate on the scale, but I remember saying, if I can see my Adam's apple, I'd love to be able to see my Adam's apple. I said, that's what I love. When I was younger, I could see my Adam's apple. So I said, I'd focus on just tipping away with the carnivore diet. And I got really into the plans of all the food and not treating myself. I understood straight away, a treat wasn't treating myself, it was poisoning myself. And it's my brain tricking me to go backwards and don't do it. I prepped well, had my food well, and today I can see my Adam's apple. So that was there's an accomplishment in 16 a year and a half, basically. Yeah, 16 months. Yeah, so that's how I kind of got into it.
I've seen your pictures, Robert. So what was your weight in the past, and what's your weight now?
I was just under 19 stone, just barely under 19 stone, and
so that would be in pounds. Oh God, 19 by 14. That's well over 270, maybe 280 pounds. And you are now? Today
I'm 13 stone 4.
Amazing. And I've seen your photographs. Honestly, you're ripped to shreds. Ripped.
Yeah, it's coming along, and yeah, thank God, it's absolutely amazing. You know, it's like you're you, but you look in the mirror and you know you're a new you. Do you get me? It's it's the better version it's the version you always wanted to be, really, to be honest. You know what I mean?
And tell me this much, Rob, because you live in my country. What's the feedback? Are you getting any pushback? Do people get it? What's going on? Because I know where I am, people just still don't get it. They just don't understand that you're still going around, you're eating meats, you're eating butter, and it's very, very hard. I think I'm getting there, but
yeah,
a lot of people are still very, very confused.
Yeah, locally, there's so many people come up to me and say something. A lot of people, for a number of months, as it became really a lot more obvious in the shape and all that kind of stuff, but the energy was there for very early on. The enthusiasm was there very early on. People were starting to notice there was something different. But I think about halfway in, I think in the first 4.5 stones that I lost, I didn't do no gym, nothing like that. And it was just a diet. I stuck really regimented to the diet, and I lost 4.5 stone in the first 6.5, 7 months.
Amazing.
And I think when that happened, I think a lot of people were like, I was only recently I saw you were this way, and now you're totally different. What did you do? Like, they thought I had the gastric band done. They didn't know how it went so quick. When I was explaining it, you look like they're just looking like that can't be right. Like, you know, that makes no sense whatsoever. But now, I think lately in the last couple of months, there's been more and more people ask me, and I get to have a conversation with people. And I suppose it's great because I can't explain things back then the way I can explain things to people now, and to give them an understanding, not only on the addiction side. Mark, watching a lot of your videos and stuff like that too, on the addiction, that it's not our fault, basically. You know what I mean? That these foods have us, we're trapped. Do you know what I mean? And it's to get a really big understanding of that. And I think explaining the understanding of what the food does to people, and it plays on how we're brought up, where we are in life, whether we're in a good place, a bad place. We eat on all our emotions, and these things set off a dopamine feeling, and they switch off parts of your brain that tell you that you're full. And trying to give that to people, it's not really like an elevator. You have an elevator pitch ready for somebody to ask you when they do ask you, because you're getting asked every day.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are really, I think it's being that change. There's so many people in my life that I want to be that change that they need to see so they can change. And that's what it is. I stopped doing this for me. Definitely, I stopped doing this for me half the way in, past the 7 or 8 month mark. I knew at that point it wasn't about me anymore. It was about me being the change that other people needed to see to get well. Because I knew it was real. I knew the carnivore diet, the carnivore lifestyle. I don't like calling it a diet. The carnivore lifestyle is the way to go, because the proof was in the pudding. I can't feel this amazing, this good, this sharp, this. Not that I was never cocky or anything like that. Not that, but just a confidence that I can do these things that I thought I wasn't able to do for a long time, and to be able to give that to somebody who's struggling and suffering, and all I see is a lot of people suffering around me, and you really want to be able to give it to them. You don't want to push it on them, but I just kept saying, okay, be the change, so keep going. And I looked at a person, and I'd see this person, and I say, I'd love to be able to tell you this. And it's funny, because when I see these people around and I want to be able to tell them, it's not long later, it's a few months later, they seem to come to me and say, what are you doing? And you tell me, and this is the person I wanted to help a while back. And it's like you attract it, you know what I mean? You attract them into your life. And so that's all I want to be. I want to be that change for people, you know?
That role model. I'm just going to ask one more question, Tony. When it comes to you worked in the restaurants, like you know better than us too. Where are you seeing the restaurants going wrong? Are they cooking in the seed oils? Were you cooking that yourself? Like, what was the food quality like?
I suppose being a chef by trade, I was cooking everything in vegetable oil. It would have been a lot of vegetable oil, olive oil, that kind of stuff, and just knowing what it did. I think at the very end, not only with sweet stuff and kind of junk food at night time, if I had deep fried foods, I was sitting on the couch and I could actually feel myself swelling, and I was getting really, really bad. And my wife was looking at me, and I was explaining. I was like, babe, it's like I was feeling like I was getting anaphylactic kind of what would you call it? You know, swelling from it, like that. I was after eating something that I was allergic to, and I was really swelling. I was getting hot, and I was choking, but I was really puffed up. I think in one of the pictures you saw, Mark, come back when the girls were 2.5, 3. I was at the circus, and I was so puffed out, so swollen. And when you look now, you say, I can't believe that was me. But I believe the vegetable oils, now knowing what I know, they are so toxic, so inflammatory. And I loved everything. And I grew up, I think in Ireland, we might grow up with the idea or the thought, you know, we learn these thoughts from younger. Oh, that vegetable oil, the more that's put into that, the tastier it gets. And do you know what I mean? And you go for that, and it's really, really tasty. But look, you could cook the same thing in beef tallow now, and it'd be just better for you. You know what I mean? But I do believe a lot of the restaurants, that's the way they do it. There's a chipper back here, the pizza house back here in Mitchelstown, and the guy who runs it himself and his wife, he's a carnivore, and he gets tallow off us like in 2-liter jars when he cooks for himself. But I'd say now he's nearly thinking of switching out all his oils to beef tallow in the fryers now, because he was telling me he got a load of tallow off me recently to do chips for himself and it, just to see. But his daughter had him here, and I think she was telling him, Dad, we need to cook more in the beef tallow in the fryer. So if it was a place that turned to one of the only places to serve food from the fryers in beef tallow in Mitchelstown, I think that'd be a selling point, a huge selling point for him.
Yeah, I have my opinion. What do you think, Tony? Your mic is off.
Is it better? Am I
back? Yeah.
No, I was saying, coming from the hospitality side and like, you know, being a chef and then into like the whole promotion side of things, I grew up and basically under the knowledge of the longer the oil sits, the more it assumes the taste of the food you're deep frying. So like if it's fish and chips, like you want that older oil and now knowing about trans fats, how when those things get heated up, cool down, heated up, cool down. I mean, if you're in a restaurant, it's economics. You know, restaurants aren't dumping their oil every night and putting fresh oil in. And that's the turning point for me was like, that's my deal breaker now. Like there was no way I want anything ever deep fried in a restaurant that I don't know what it's cooked in, because that is trans fat. That is the textbook poison that they don't want. Everybody knows it's bad. So that's something about the seed oils, especially in a restaurant, that we just don't. Not a lot of people understand that, and it's that heating up and cooling down every day. That's what's happening. If there
Yeah, and see, we all go on about sugar, but seed oils are probably the worst. Like the thing is, you can burn off the sugar. You can't burn off the seed oils. That's gonna be in your body for such a long, long time. The fact, you know what I mean? That's the problem right there.
Robert, you said it great, because this is something that people don't understand about this diet and lifestyle. And we talked about this a little bit earlier before we started the recording. There's like this, oh my Lord, switch, like this thing that just goes like, this is right. There's nobody can tell me otherwise. We know it. And you mentioned feeling stuff. Now, when you're feeling, we'll just call it human, you start to feel the different effects of different things in your body. And we're talking from the egg quality. When the longer you go into this, you can start to feel that. I feel like weird if I have something with seed oils, I know my body knows it right away.
Yeah.
It's something that I never was aware of my whole life. It was just, I don't know whether we make these excuses, we get used to it, or what, we just stop listening. But that's interesting that you say that, because that's what I feel now. If something, and sugar's different. Like I'm not saying sugar's any better or worse. It's a different animal. They're both poison theoretically. Mm-hmm. But that's the coolest thing when you can. And I think for new carnivores and people that you're talking to, it's hard to explain that feeling when you turn over and you just have that aha moment of, this is what we should be doing.
And I think that's important, because we're always saying, because this is what really annoys me about social media, they'll only do it for about a month. It's like, it's not long enough. You need to do it for a minimum, in my opinion, a minimum 6 months, because that's when you're probably going to get a good cleanse. You're going to get a good detox. Your body's going to become fat adapted. You're going to get deeply into ketosis, and then you can experiment and then add in these foods again. You're going to notice it straight away. Literally within an hour the next day. Because I know in the 4 years since I've been carnivore, I've tested everything. I've tested everything that I used to eat, and it had an impact on me straight away. Like, eat straight away. So I was like, okay, that's a box ticked. I'm not doing that anymore. That's another box. I'm not doing that anymore, because it affects me. It has a huge impact on me, and I feel shit. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that anymore.
I think with myself, like I understand everything you're saying there. With me, I suppose there was other things in my life that brought me to places like between drinking and other things, smoking, and other things even a bit harder than that, and kind of brought me to not so good places in my life. I realized that I can't moderate. I have to abstain. But when you're talking about how good your body feels as you move on, like I have a tooth there that I had to get replaced recently, and for a while before, so I had to be kind of held in till I was getting it sorted. So I used a Fixodent. Now, I actually thought I was actually high. I was like, what is going on here? And I was putting this thing in. And I was saying to my wife, I was like, babe, I don't feel good at all. Like, and I felt like I did, a long time ago, and I don't want that kind of feeling. And I was trying to figure it out, and I was like, I can feel the chemicals in the product.
Yes.
They were affecting me. The chemicals were actually affecting me. And I remember thinking, what? So I rang my dentist in the city, and I said, listen, Mark is his name as well. I said, Mark, I need to there, guys. I need to make an appointment fairly quick. I said, because I'm putting this thing on my tooth until I meet you. And I said, it's playing havoc. I don't feel good. And myself and my wife were talking about it. I'm living so clean with my diet that I'm able to feel anything that shouldn't be in my body. That's how amazing I am with the carnivore diet. You know what I mean? I think it's fantastic. But sorry, no. I just had to come in. I had to put it up. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I've had some crazy, like that was one thing I noticed like right away was I've had horrible teeth in my adulthood. Just for whatever reason, I was in so much pain. I thought I would have like $30,000, $40,000 of dental work to do. And it was like, oh my God. And it was the pain that I had to deal with. Gone. I'm not saying my teeth got better, but I'm telling the pain factor when I went full carnivore disappeared. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is insane. Like, how is this even possible? And that's something that a lot of people don't like. There's a lot of different things that pop up. And how did you feel about, Robert, when you're a bigger guy, you're obviously weight loss is on our minds, but how did you feel when everything else started to resolve as you're losing weight? And like, how did you feel about that?
I suppose from basic things to, like, my wife, if I got to sleep before her at nighttime, she wasn't getting to sleep. I snored crazy. All the snoring went, and she was like, "You don't snore anymore." Like, I was like, "What?" And yeah, the sleep apnea went. There were things. The inflammation was one of the first things to know. The energy, of course, how I felt more nimble, like, and my joints felt better, and I was able to get up and down with the girls much easier. Those kind of things, but the weight was amazing to watch it go off, and I'd wake up every day. It was what I was doing to my mind. I was feeling so much more. I was feeling, I think, for a number of months without fail, I went through a euphoric stage, so euphoric in terms of, like, you couldn't pay somebody to give you that feeling. It was like, I can't believe it. Every day I felt so blessed, so lucky, so grateful that I had the life I had. I look in the mirror, and I knew what I was doing. I knew the science behind it, and I was getting all these understanding, and I still couldn't believe it. But it was what I was doing to my brain. It wasn't that I was in a bad place in most of my life, and a lot of it I wasn't. I was just I wasn't happy with me, with my weight, and I knew it was wrong. I knew the way I was eating, and I remember saying to my wife, because look, we've gotten our life as a family, and it's been amazing, and he's brought us on this journey. But I knew, I kept looking back to the 7 deadly sins. I was a glutton, like, I was a pig. That's how I felt. And I did, and it made me not feel good about me, because when I ate something, I couldn't stop. I kept eating, no matter what it was, whether if I had a bowl of pasta carbonara or whatever it is, I had to have a big, huge bowl of pasta carbonara. It wasn't a small bowl, it was a big bowl. If I had potatoes on the plate, I had to have loads of potatoes on the plate. So for me, a biscuit had to be a packet of biscuits. And I felt like a pig, and I was getting this understanding spiritually that, been on the journey that I was on, so many things were cleaned up in my life, and the food was one of the last things with my body, and understanding that we need to treat what we have very, very well. And I wasn't treating it well, and I was really upset with myself. I think I was being shown that I was after treating myself very, very, just not good at all, and I think getting that understanding really hit me. I was a pig, I was a glutton, and I wanted to stop that. You know what I mean? So I treat this as life or death, really, to be honest.
Your story resonates a lot with mine, because I was the same, Robert. There was a stage now when I ate a lot of food, like a lot of food, and I couldn't stop, especially at the weekends. I couldn't wait until it was 7 p.m. I would order a takeaway. I'd have a whole box of Jaffa cakes. I would just literally non-stop, and I would eat literally about 4 hours before I went to bed, and I just wouldn't be able to stop. Honestly, it was incredible. I was eating ice cream, biscuits, just everything that tasted sweet. I just, honestly, it was unbelievable. Maltesers, and I would literally spend about 50, maybe 60 quid on processed crap at the weekend, and I would finish it all. There'd be nothing left. I'd be going to bed, like, my stomach would be out here, and I'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm working the fitness industry. I can lose this the next day. But I did that every week. Every week I did that. I destroyed my body. Literally destroyed it.
How's your food intake now? How do you feel about, like, how much meat are you eating? Do you find like you've got an off switch? Do you find you can eat more? Like, how do you feel, like, comparing that sort of the gluttonish past to now? How are you feeling? What's going
on? My food intake is totally different. Not just on what I'm eating, like meat and eggs. Like I would have sausages in mind, but I trying to get the highest quantity sausages meat as possible. So it's nearly 90% sausage meat. But steaks and burgers and eggs and chicken, and that, I eat different types of, whether it's chops and stuff like that. But I can eat at 12 o'clock. I'd usually eat around 12. That's usually my breakfast. And after that, I'd usually have a dinner around 7, thereabouts. Sometimes I don't have to eat. I can go all the way till the following day at 12 o'clock. And if I'm ever out, or if I'm ever, if something happens and it's just my time, I can't get back for food, it's like a switch just goes, relax. You're just fasting for an extra hour, 2 hours. Very simple. It is no panic. You're not going to die. And if anything, your fasting is great, so don't worry. There's nothing like that comes into my brain. Like, I don't have to think. I go about my day. So when I have my meal at 12 o'clock, I go about my day. I don't have to think about food until I come home. Bring my water, drink lots of water on my way. I salt everything. I salt everything really, really a lot, to make sure I keep my balance, my minerals, and up and really good, but I eat plenty of butter, cooking beef tallow, and that's what I do, and I don't deviate much. I've added a bit of duck breast recently, Barbary duck breast, nice, cook it medium, really get a good crisp on the skin, and it's just something a bit different. But apart from that, I stick to it, and people I've met that have tried it and fell off and gone away from it, they go like, how do you stick to it? For me, like I said, it's life or death. I know the person I am. I know the person I'll be if I go back to that food again. And I know not everybody will look at it like that, because I was at a very extreme place in the end. I was really, really overweight. I was really unhealthy. So not everybody is probably at that place. But I think just understanding who I am. I'm a person that if I eat that stuff, I won't stop, you know what I mean? And I don't want to take a chance. I don't want to take a chance no more. I love what the carnivore diet has done for my life, carnivore lifestyle. But I love what it's done for me and my family, you know what I mean? Because I'm present today. I'm full of energy. Whatever they need me to do, I can do. And I think my mom at home, she said to me one day, can you come out? I need the room upstairs painted. There's some cousins coming home from England, and no problem at all. I got out and got it all painted. I think my sister was supposed to help. She couldn't make it over, and mom and dad came up, and we didn't want you doing it on your own, and look, sorry about that. And I said, no panic. I said, Ma, if you need anything from now on, no matter what it is, don't hesitate, pick up the phone. I'm doing it. I said, because I can do it today. I was so grateful. I can get up today. I've no pain in my joints when I go down. I can go down, I can paint down the bottom, I can get up, and it's like, what? And I feel like people are saying to me, you're 15 years younger. You look 15 years younger. And I feel 15 years younger.
Oh, you look great, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, thank God, and thank for the likes of Mark and like Tony. I've met you on this journey, and the people I've watched on YouTube. Like I'd be without these people and their stories, and the fact that they're actually trying to get the information out. They've all inspired me. Like I don't do this myself. I have a higher hand above me who helps me, and he brings all these people into my life, and I wouldn't have seen all these people without him. So I look at everybody, and I watch them, and I laugh with them, and I hear the stories, and I cry with some of the stories of people who are going through some of the worst things they've ever been. So I laugh and I cry, but every bit of it joins me to a group of people in the world that know what it is to go through this carnivore journey, and we all want to try to give it to somebody else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's I can speak for Mark on this side. Is that's what we're just trying to add to the fire, because it's it's burning, but we need, the people that I just feel, because if you're, before we talk anymore, I want to talk about the faith side of things, because people don't understand. It is a leap of faith, because there is so much. Mark talks about this all the time. Experts, this, I've felt it. I was in nutrition school, didn't want anything to do with it, gave it up because it was wrong. And, it takes a leap of faith to jump in and really, really focus on the stories like yourself, Robert, that listen to them, because, how do you feel about you being different? I'm sure you've had some people say, well, that's you. I could never do that. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. Being different, like, I suppose everybody in the world went through a crazy time with COVID. We all went through a crazy time. But I think a little bit before that, a number of years before that, going through the time I was telling you about, we used to run a bar and restaurant and a few things like that. And it was a very, very good business. But I got too much caught up in it. I was involved in it, and I was taking part in it. And before you know it, you're in it 24/7. And it wasn't good for me. I was killing myself slowly. And I got to a place, a very, very dark place, and I was left with an option of in or out. Do I want in or do I want out? And I remember praying to God, praying for help, and I remember saying, I want in. I wanted out for a long time, but I said I want in. And the minute I said I want in, God, Jesus, I said, come into my life. I said, I need you in my life. The minute I did that, there was an inspired thought to pick up the phone. I was suffering in darkness for a long time, wondering why I kept doing the same things to myself. And so I picked up the phone and said, "Ma'am, I need to come home for a few weeks, a few months. I don't trust myself here. Just to like get up and go on." I did that, and that was the start. The most amazing people came into my life from there on, and then a number of years later led us to where we were. Met my wife, children, COVID. That's just a bit of a quick version of there. But COVID then came, and I suppose when you've God in your life, I think he, as my wife and I would say, he lifts the veil on everything, So he lifts the curtain, so you get this amazing discernment on what's true and what's lies. You know what I mean? And we knew. I again have another friend of mine. He knew what was coming with COVID years before COVID actually happened. So he'd already had some chats and conversations with me, and I'd been attracted to him. He was another guy with God in his life, and I'd been attracted to kind of meet up, had this kind of conversations, relationship in terms of friendship, and he was explaining all this is what's coming, and to be ready for it, and we were preparing for it. And then COVID happened. A lot of people were I was trying to give people the information: don't fear, don't take a vaccine, number one. Don't fear. I was trying to tell everybody. My wife was trying to do the same. We were ostracized. We were accosted. I was called Hitler. All these things by people. A man is not even here right now, God rest him, but there was a lot of fear and panic in the world, and we stood outside that because of God. We were able to stand outside that, and we were able to be a light for people in a dark time. So I think being different, it doesn't mean I'm special. Like I'm nobody without God. Do you know what I mean? I'm nobody. I don't do any of this without God in my life, because I want to sit down on the couch and have all the junk, and I want to sit down and I want to eat all the bad stuff, because that's me. That's the flesh, the desires, and God helps me kill those fleshly desires and say, okay, there's a bigger plan. There's a more amazing way of doing it. And I'm going to show you how to do it. And so even though you might stand out alone or feel alone, you really do feel like he's given you the opportunity to really help a bunch of people, a lot of people, including yourself, your family, your friends, but a lot of people in a broader sense and in a more spiritual sense. So feeling alone is like picking up your cross and follow him. That's what he says. Pick up your cross and follow me anyway. So when we felt hated and we felt persecuted during that time, like some people did, I just have to remember that he said, they hated me first. They'll hate you, but they hated me first. So that's part of our life right now, and we're very blessed to be able to do it. And you see a lot of madness that's going on in the world. And there's one man that I watched a lot of interviews and talks about him on YouTube, Charlie Kirk, and what after happening to that man. And you just know we're in a dark time, and we just hope that we can be a light in a dark time, because that's what our purpose is. We have a purpose, and it's to be a light in a time of dark places, that people can kind of come out, see that there's a way, another way, a better way for themselves in the world. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the spiritual side of things for me.
Yeah. I put up a video about this today. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I was questioning the whole process after yesterday. I was like, listen, I don't think I want to be on this social media anymore. I was like, okay, like, are people listening? Like, because I've had death threats in the past from the vegans, and I was like, listen, I don't think I need this in my life. I'm really happy I'm at a stage in my life now where I'm happy financially, mentally, emotionally, everything. I'm happy. I'm like, listen, I'm just trying to help people here. So do I just pull the plug and just give it all up? I was actually going to give up the whole thing, even the podcast. I was like, listen, I don't need this in my life anymore. But then I got a message. I got a message literally the minute I woke up this morning. And this woman had told me, like, she's been watching me for months. She's not a client of mine, watching me for months. She's reversed her fatty liver disease, and she's reversed her diabetes, all on her own, just by watching my videos. So that gave me that lift again. It was like, you know what? I'm impacting people. Yeah, and I've always said if I do one video, one podcast, and it just impacts one person in the world,
Yeah.
my job is done.
It changes their life. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about, like, we kind of, when we got together about this stuff, we said that we want to challenge the mainstream and all the bullshit out there. But I mean, I think these stories, these interviews are just as important. And Robert, your story and your sharing, and I know you mentioned that you haven't done many of these, so you know we really appreciate you coming on and doing this, because it's just over. Everybody's story is obviously a little different. How they got to where they're at is a little different, but the commonality is, you know, we've mentioned it before, but there's always this knowing, and that's coming from somewhere else where you just know, and nobody else can tell you any different, and nobody else can tell Mark any different. Nobody else can tell me any different. I don't care what the science says. There's this deep inside feel and know that is undescribable, and it's original, but yet we've all had our own version of it, and that's why these things are so important, because we're not genetic freaks, we're not weird, we're actually very human and feeling it, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you ask all three of us would say the same thing. We wish we did this 30 years ago, and every one of us at some stage, I know I did, and I know Robert did, and I think you did as well, Tony. We were at a stage in our life where we were desperate. We were asking the big man upstairs, like, listen, help me. I'm struggling here. I can't figure this out. I can't figure this out myself. I need some guidance here. Guide me in the right direction, because I just can't figure it out. So that's why my beliefs now have changed.
Mhm.
I would have never been a religious person. Trust me. I would have been when I was younger. But I think around maybe when I was in my 20s up to my mid 40s, that's when I said, no, not into it. The whole church thing, not into it. But no, when I was at my lowest and I reached out and I was like, listen, I really need help here. I think he listened, and he did guide me in the right direction. Because if I hadn't listened to that podcast 4 years ago, I'm pretty sure I would not be here. I'm pretty sure I'd be dead, 100%.
Well, when you go back, if you don't mind, we go back to where you were talking about the vegans. You got the death threats, if you don't mind, and that. And I'm not knocking. I wouldn't knock nobody. Like, I know some vegans, vegetarians, and I come across them. I go out to do the markets with the beef tallow skincare, and they say, "Oh, I can't try that. That I'm a vegan, vegetarian." And I talk, and I'm not trying to change their mind or anything like that. But I've had great conversations with people who are vegetarian and vegan, and you see that their brain is just thinking that a little bit more when you start talking. But on the spirituality side of it, when it comes to vegan and vegetarian, I look at the veganism. I look at that as it's really dark. It's very sinister. It's very it's satanic, because now knowing what we know, that they don't get no goodness. They're not getting the goodness in their food, so it's very evil. And the fact that like Charlie Kirk, God rest him, like the fact that somebody couldn't have an open dialogue and would want to kill you first because of your opinion, is really evil and satanic. And I don't believe that the person is evil. I believe what's in them is evil. Do you know what I mean? Because there is demonic possessions. There is, a spirituality. It's a spiritual war, and it seems like people on that side of things seem to lose the control of themselves. They lose control because they can't have an open, very simple discussion without getting angry or threatening or. Sorry,
Tony, you go ahead.
What I've noticed is when we're coming from this place, wherever you're at on your spiritual path, and your brain starts working, you go inward first. These, and I'm not talking about all people or all vegans, but when I find the ones that are going out first, everything is outward. Everything is you should be. Carnivores speak from inside them and offer. It's a different dynamic. And I've helped vegans be better vegans, but they're not pushing it on anybody. They were not saying you should be. They're just saying I've chosen to be. How do I get nutrients? Different mindset. And I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, and see, that's the same with me. Like when I'm having these conversations with these people online, I'm asking these, okay, listen, I don't want to have these messages back and forth. I would rather speak to you in person. And it's not from a point of view that I know everything. I just want to have a civilized conversation with you. People think that when I call these people out, that I'm going to have this massive argument. I'm not. I want to have a balanced conversation. So by the end of it, you have your view, I have my view. Let the audience see both sides of the argument and just make up your own mind. And that's what Charlie Kirk stood for. At the end of the day, I didn't agree with everything that he stood for. But the one thing I did believe in, and I've seen his videos, is I 100% backed him on veganism. I said, listen, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm always going to be a meat eater, and I believe in everything that he said. And I just think at this stage in our life, we should have freedom of speech. And I think nobody should be ever put down because you have a different opinion to somebody else.
Well, and it's hard on the spiritual side too, because like, you know, coming from that place, they always reference, you know, biblical. I've read the Bible, and I would encourage everybody to read the Bible and tell me that we're not supposed to eat meat. Good luck, because no. We were definitely supposed to eat meat. It's clear all throughout the Bible, even with the New Testament. They were fishermen and fishes and loaves. Like, I'm not agreeing with the bread, but you know what? They were eating meat. So, but when they start talking about that stuff, veganism isn't a religion. It's not. It was created for an ideology, and the whole veganism was brought to the U.S. by this rabbi, actually, who was trying to indoctrinate people for a reason. And that's the difference. And I don't know about you, how you feel about this, Robert, but we're trying to go back to our roots, back to our ancestry, back to humanity. And it's weird how they throw in these arguments they don't come from the right places. And I mean, you know, when you're starting to throw scripture at people for their food, you better know what you're talking about, because people, like, it's clear and I don't know how you feel about that, but.
Yeah, no, like my wife had kind of came across something one time, you know, when we fast, or when we kind of stay away from food, when it comes to being Catholics and stuff like that here in Ireland, we'd stay away from meat, you know, we'd step away from meat. But why the meat? The meat was the nutrient dense food, the good food. So we had to make a sacrifice to have no meat. That was your sacrifice. So it wasn't your sacrifice in anything else. You were sacrificing the meat. But another friend of mine kind of gave me the understanding that, you know, things that are wrong, the word ism, you know, between socialism and communism, like, you know, veganism, isms were always very, very bad. They were always very, very bad things, like, turned out to be in the world. So when you talk about veganism, I just put that into another bunch of, it's a very dark thing, because it's programming people to live a certain way where they're going to end up very sick and very unwell. And in a very, very bad place. And only something very evil could do that to somebody, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at it, like, you hit a good one on there too. It's like, when you're trying to indoctrinate something for the good of something else outside yourself, you know, that word would probably be evil, you know, like it's just not healthy. You know, like, people can get healthy.
Yeah, if you need to have supplements for your diet because you're not getting the right nutrients and vitamins from the food you're eating, then it clearly mustn't be the right type of food. And I'm not against people who kind of are vegan or vegetarian. I understand some people are doing it because they believe there's so much debt to it. There's so much debt to the way we're eating. And it's playing on their emotions and their heartstrings, because they might be very good people, and they make this decision, but they're making this decision without all the information.
Exactly.
The person who's pumping the low fat and the diet and the zero fat and the vegan and vegetarian, they're not telling them that, oh yeah, look, they'll play on your emotions and your heartstrings, but you're not going to get what you really, really need to live on this diet. And they don't tell them that. And you do find that when vegans do make a switch, like, we were very fortunate to see this woman, she gets our products down in Clonmel and Dungarvan, and her daughter was in a very, very bad situation. She was a vegan, and for years they couldn't get pregnant, herself and her partner. And but she was very ill health, and her mum was telling my wife she was really, really ill health, and she was worried about her, you know. And Mira was telling her about the carnivore diet and how amazing it was, and it was the proper human diet. And she started giving her all this information, and she said, "Look, pass it on to your daughter." About a year later, we met her. About a year later, and they did a divine skincare night in her home, and we ended up meeting her daughter and her partner, and she was pregnant. She was pregnant a couple of months, and she looked amazing. I was expecting to see this person, you know, really, really weak and tired, and at the end of her, you know, but she looked amazing. And my wife, of course, was having a conversation with another woman at the table, and this woman was a vegan as well. And of course, I looked at Mira, my wife looked at me in the conversation, and I was like, "No, we're not here for that now, right now." And Mira couldn't help it, had to go in and say, "Look, no, I don't believe in that. I believe in this, and this is why." And she looked over for that friend for help who had changed from vegan to carnivore, and she was getting her into the conversation, and she said, "No," she said, "I'm sorry, I'm not vegan anymore. I'm a carnivore." She said, "I started eating meat about 8 or 9 months ago, whatever it was." And she said, "When I started, I couldn't stop eating meat." She said, "My body craved it."
Brilliant. Yeah.
She said, "I couldn't stop eating it." And she said, "Everything else has gotten better since." She said, "Her whole life. She has a zest for life." She was to talk to that woman and her husband and her mom and all. It was amazing to see that just from information, somebody giving somebody information that was correct, and it changed their whole life. That's blow you away. So we're very blessed to see all those things. You know what I mean?
It's amazing, isn't it? Those stories are absolutely amazing.
And I'm still waiting. If anybody out there knows in social media land, one carnivore that's gone back to full veganism. One.
Yeah.
I'm waiting, and I think we're all
not only that. Name one diet in the current in the world, any diet you want that has cured any disease.
Yeah.
Just give me one. Any diet apart from this one. Just give me one. Nobody can give you an answer. Not one. They talk about veganism, how healthy it is. It's never cured not one disease, not one.
Yeah. If anything, you know, going back, it gets you back to reset, a real reset, the real kind, your personal reset, where you're getting back to humanity, and it's quite powerful, and it's seeing all these stories. And Robert, I want to talk about your skincare stuff. How did that come about? Okay. I love it. Putting tallow on my face is a good thing. I love it.
Yeah. I suppose we're very fortunate again. Locally, we have some amazing butchers here locally, and when Mare realized her hair got better and her skin got better, we talked about doing a topical skincare, so a natural skincare. So she went down the rabbit hole of beef tallow, found out the benefits of it, full of vitamins A, D, E, K, B12, all the healthy skin nutrients you need. And I said, okay, let's start making them. We started making them. We got amazing tallow from a local butcher here, and eventually from another town outside. We needed a bit more tallow. And we went on a podcast with a lot of people locally were trying them, friends, family, couldn't get over them. We knew ourselves because, look, my skin, I can't get over my skin.
Yeah, sure,
absolutely. And this is not vain, I'm the least that way. I never look at myself that way in terms of, because I grew up, Dad taught me how to shave, but he never taught me how to look after my skin. That all came from my wife. Cleansing, toning, moisturizing. I couldn't say those things. I couldn't say those things when I was growing up. I'd be laughed at, like. And I remember I was traveling the country at work recently, and going back a little over maybe 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, and I had a kind of a cleansing, toning, moisturizing set in the hotel, and one of the guys knocked at the door. We were working with a broadband company, and he knocked at the door, and he said, I left him in before we went for dinner, and he came in and I was just moisturizing, and he says, "Oh, do you moisturize?" And I was like, "Oh." I was like, this is going to be the topic conversation over dinner, and I'm going to be laughed at, and they're all some of them a lot younger. And he said, no. He said, we all do it, like. And I was like happy out then, but I noticed the benefits. My confidence went through the roof. 5 minutes, just a bit of a cleanse, bit of a tone with the beef tallow, a scrub, and a day cream or night balm, and I walked out the door like I actually took care of myself. Like I gave myself a bit of really good attention, and my skin started to get just shinier, better. I know eating a lot of the fat does it internally as well, but it just really, really helps, you know. So we went on a podcast with Mark. Oh, I'm very sorry now.
Victoria.
Um,
Victoria it was.
Yeah, no, there was another guy up the country. He took our products to Roscommon. He actually has a live 5D clinic up in Roscommon. And Mark Atwood, do you know him? No,
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Mark Atwood. So he did a podcast with us because a friend of ours passed the products on to him, and he had a clinic up there which was all about red light therapy and helping people who are feeling
Yeah, yeah.
unwell and stuff like that. And you could give a donation if you couldn't afford it. Doing some very good work up there. And so he did a podcast with our products, and after that we started shipping to Australia and on a small scale, Australia and parts of Europe and Canada and America.
Hey,
And
Canada, I'm be calling you.
yeah, Canada. And there's another the carnivore coach, Lorenz in Canada. Do you know him? No.
Carnivore
Possibly.
coach.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah, yeah. So he has some of our products as well. Loves them, and so yeah, it kind of started off that way. Started off doing a bit more Christmas kind of market, and we sorry, I don't know the music is coming from there now.
Oh, the microphone got a little bit. It's okay. No worries. We can
Oh,
still
sorry.
hear you.
But yeah, it kind of went the way that way. We started shipping a bit abroad for a small while, a couple of months, and it's kind of a bit slow. It's going organically. We're just trying to meet people, as many people as possible, word of mouth. But we ended up getting certified organic beef tallow from a guy in Cashel. So our products are in the process of becoming certified as well, organic.
Cool.
But really, it's amazing. It's a blessing to be able to do it. So
That's amazing, man. Well, you know what? We'll definitely put all the links to all your stuff in the show notes in the description, because I'm a big believer in that, man. I have a new philosophy over the last few years: is if I can't put it in my mouth, it doesn't go on my skin.
Yeah.
Pretty much, pretty simple. Like,
Yeah.
I've given up.
I'm the same. I'm the same. I cook everything in beef tallow now. I don't eat butter at all. And Robert was very, very kind enough, him and his wife, to bring me a few of his products, and I've been using them I've been using them ever since. And yeah, anything if I'm able to eat it, same thing. I'm putting it on my skin. Same as you, Tony.
Yeah, now I'm gonna try and grow my hair back with egg yolks and just to see what happens, right? So now I can grow the beard. I can't grow it's funny, but it hasn't gotten worse. That's the weird thing about this. In the last, I was kind of losing my hair pretty quickly after 40, and it just stopped. So and now the kind of gray hair is kind of going back, and it's clear, but I don't use shampoo. I don't put anything on my skin that I can't put in my mouth, and that's kind of a. So the tallow, I've been known to, but mine smells like beef. So I gotta plan it. You know what I mean? Like going out, for dinner with somebody, or going out to a social meeting and smelling like a.
And what's in the pipeline, Robert? What does the future hold? Are you going to make them bigger? What's in the plans for the next couple of years?
Well, we're in the process. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't know. Is that music from my side or your side there?
I don't hear any music.
Okay, I can just hear a lot of music there. Sorry.
Here, we'll see.
But yeah, we're waiting on. We're hoping, myself and John Purcell, the guy we get the tallow off of in Cashel, we're hoping to go into a unit. There's a company in England wants us to render beef tallow for them. They sell beef tallow on Amazon and Etsy, and they want about 3 tons a month. So we're hoping to go into that and make some products for retail then as well. So he has a company called The Good Herdsman, and the aim is to do a retail product of beef tallow, certified organic tallow. You can get duck fat, you can get goose fat, but you can't get certified organic beef tallow on the shelf here. So we're hoping that will be next in the pipeline. Fingers crossed if we can get this up and running.
Yeah. Because I know there's a couple tallow products in North America, but they put something, I can't remember what they put in it. They put something in it. Even those, there was a thing all over social media. Those fast food chains we're switching back to beef tallow, but there's some chemical that they put. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it's like, what are you talking about, man? Why don't you just put the bloody fat in the fryer? Like it's unbelievable. And I know some of the skin creams. There may be a couple things, or anybody that's got skincare. Like whipped tallow is great, and if you can get ahead, I'm all for it, man. And I'll be wanting some up down here in Canada or over here in Canada for sure, man. I'm excited about it. That's awesome.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So look, please God, look, God is good. Whatever He has for us will come.
Yeah. Well, Robert, we want to respect your time. We appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and how you got here. We know it's these things are so important, and it's amazing to meet you. And I'm excited to keep in touch, and
Yeah.
you're always welcome back. If we ever have an announcement or something that we can help you with, obviously our small little humble podcast, we're trying to get out there. We're trying to make it pop. But if we can help one person, I kind of think our job is done.
I don't know what I say it now. It's just a thought that I've had over the last few weeks, and I think but Mark, I was going to get on to Mark because so many people had contacted me about the carnivore down the street, had messaged about the carnivore diet and what I've been doing, and so I was thinking of maybe doing a seminar, maybe in this local town, a free seminar, and I was hoping Mark, we'd invite Mark down to do a bit of a talk. We'd break it into two parts.
I'll be there in a heartbeat, Robert. Trust me.
Yeah. And
because I'm trying to set one up here myself up here, but yeah, I only had this conversation with you the other day. We need to get this done. We need to get this done in this country.
But there's a few people that I've seen recently, and when you said it, I said, okay, if we get the town hall, free cheese coffees, make it a free night, and if anybody wants to follow on and take on a journey, then after that, they can sign up to it and move forward. But the aim, I kind of thought after that, it wouldn't be amazing to have a town like we have here with so many people suffering, be a brand new town in no time.
Oh,
that's the plan. That's the plan, Robert. Like if I get this going now at the end of the year, I'll be getting you up here. You and your wife get your brand up here. Like I'll have a few guys that are coming over from England as well. That are carnivores. It's going well at the moment. I'm about 80% there. The room holds up. The room holds up to 300 people. It's going to be a free event. I'm not charging anybody for anything for this. This is costing me money, but I know if I get the first one up and running and it goes really, really well, I know I can put on another 4 or 5 in the new year. I know I can.
Yeah.
Wow.
It'd be amazing. Yeah.
Proving that we all
change.
Go ahead. Sorry, Robert.
Change every town, town by town, and help people. Yeah, amazing.
Person by person, town by town. So we're gonna put all Robert's stuff up on the description. Reach out to him and make sure if you're thinking about your skin, think about Robert, because that's a good idea. And I'm all for it, for supporting small local countries. Our countries are all messed up right now. Like Canada's not any different. So we're all trying to do our part, and boys, I might even fly over and attend, man. That would be awesome. So, Robert, thank you so much for being here today, man. We'll make sure we put all your stuff on, like I mentioned, on the description. Mark, always a pleasure. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are live on Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in the UK and Ireland, 7 p.m. in the Netherlands and continental Europe. We have people all the time, every week, like Robert Hanna, doing his part, man. I appreciate the fight, and I appreciate the words. Mark, anything you want to add?
No, it's been a pleasure, Robert. Where can people go to find you?
Divineskincare.ie. Yeah, that's if you're looking for products like that. All natural, chemical and toxin free. I suppose the ancestral way of taking care of your skin, the old fashioned way. Yeah, so basically I'm Instagram the Carnivore Coach. Yeah, so that's only all brand new. Thank you. Yeah, all brand new, but yeah, I have a few people started off on that. They're flying. They're really enjoying their carnivore journey so far. One lady, she's in her 60s, and she got to the end of her first month, and she said, "Rob, my family are telling me, slow down, man." And she said, "Rob, I can't believe the amount of energy. I'm cleaning the house," and I'm like, don't look at the scales. Judge it by how you feel. And I said, "Day at a time. Take it day by day." And she's flying into month 2, and she's delighted. Yeah.
amazing, absolutely amazing.
Well, we will have all those linked below. Robert, thank you. Mark, always a pleasure. We will see you live on Sunday.
Tony, thanks very much. God bless you all, lads, and wish you all the best.
Oh, you too, man. Thanks.